Issue 64. We start out with Sonic running away from trooper lasers, dragging Johnny and Amy behind him. He says they need time to plan an attack and hide behind a building. Then, out of nowhere, it's revealed that just because Brutus has Eggman's mind, he has his voice too. Sonic doubts it really is Eggman because he could never fit into armor that size, and yet he could fit into the disguise as the skinnier man just fine, and figures out just from his voice that he's programmed to be like Eggman. This is so forced. We could have just had him figure out he's got Eggman's mind from calling Sonic an insult only Eggman uses, like a spike ball. You know, like the other times we found out Eggman was out of disguise. Maybe Grimer did program him to have Eggman's voice, but that would have nothing to do with his mind being the same, and it was never implied to be the case last issue. So why didn't he notice it then? Brutus activates an infrared scan and picks up Sonic's heat trail. Meanwhile, Citadel Robotnik, Eggman gets mad about Brutus already being on a mission when he didn't give him that order. This is because he's such a control freak, but if I were him I wouldn't care because he's still trying to destroy Sonic like he wants. He says that he should be the first one to be contacted when Sonic's spotted, and wants to be put in contact with Brutus. Sonic destroys some robots and then goes for the less direct approach with Brutus by creating a tornado of air around him, and he grabs his cloak and makes him spin around because of it. This is the problem with capes. Brutus gets spun into something and buried in rubble, and gets up out of the rubble. Eggman calls him, and he tells the trooper that he heard nothing and it was just a faulty transmission, probably not wanting to be distracted by Eggman nagging him. Sonic comes up with the plan that by attacking Brutus from different directions, they'll do more damage. Why is it only Sonic who comes up with the plans? I know he's the leader, but I don't buy that. It'd be better if the usefulness was at least somewhat spread out more, and there is specialization in skills like in Sadiam and Archie. But instead Sonic does almost everything and his friends are just cannon fodder, fighting robots, and that's it. Porker's got his own gimmick, but he's on Miracle Planet right now. Amy gets grabbed by Brutus and successfully uses the human shields, and Sonic says he can't risk her life. Otherwise his reputation would be hurt. Eggman calls Brutus on a higher frequency, which shakes his circuits apparently, as well as making him complain. Eggman returns to normal frequency just because he was asked to, and Brutus lies that he didn't respond before because a building fell on him. Eggman at least says it's impressive that he captured the heroes, but then he arbitrarily says he wants them alive and orders him to bring them to him. No reason whatsoever that he should agree to that. I think Eggman wants to be the one to kill them himself, but if so, why send robots after them to steal the victory? Brutus tells Sonic that he's wanted alive, and I laughed a little at Sonic saying, I knew he had a soft spot for me. As I wonder if he's only following the order to avoid getting in trouble again, Brutus orders the heroes to be put in chains and the story ends. Oh, I forgot that Trog was still there to threaten Knuckles and Tails. I guess he's just that forgettable. Tails makes Moraine suspicious by calling Knuckles his actual name, and Knuckles punches Trog. Then he realizes the ropes of the bridge are giving way, and he says he didn't mean to kill him by sending him to the nothingness. I was expecting him to do that on purpose. Anyways, Tails and Knuckles are congratulated on a job well done, and I'm really annoyed at how when Moraine confronts Tails about him calling Knuckles his real name earlier, nothing comes of it, and she's totally ignored even when she asks that again. Suddenly, Trog flies back to threaten Tails because he barely caught the end of the rope of the bridge to save himself just in time. Suddenly, he changes back to normal. This is much nicer than him dying as a monster and never getting to go back to normal. It's explained that the destruction of the Dark One did it, but it's not explained at all why it took longer for the enchantment to wear off. So this just feels like an ass pull at the last second. I'm glad he's back to normal and nice again, but the story ends with Moraine still suspicious, but with nothing coming of it. In the next story, Shortfuse finds Techno's secret workshop, and she explains that she used to work as one of Eggman's top engineers, but he found out she was stealing materials to make her weapons. Surprisingly, she agrees to making a bomb for Chemical Plant Zone without at all mentioning that they should evacuate the people there first. And then she says that the scanner she has shows his armor is made of a super alloy that she helped create. She's one of Eggman's top engineers, so that makes sense as a coincidence. I guess the bomb that she's going to make is going to be small enough to not hurt any people. It's not going to blow up in a residential area, but she never says that. 3 days later, Eggman is told that Shortfuse and Techno have been sighted in Chemical Plant Zone. Metamorphosis sent after them, and Shortfuse compliments Techno for giving him a new look that I can't really see much of a difference in at all. It's not like he was given a major new paint job, he still looks pure evil to the unsuspecting observer. Shortfuse destroys robots, Techno plants the bomb, setting the timer for a very generous 5 minutes. A good thing too, since Metamorphia is going to try to delay them, grabbing Shortfuse so he can't fly away with Techno. I really expected Metamorphia to shapeshift into Techno to confuse Shortfuse, although since she wants to destroy him, that form wouldn't be too destructive, and he'd immediately know she's not Techno because she'd tried to attack him. The first and third stories are by Lou Stringer. The first one involves the heroes being captured by Brutus, with Eggman briefly being angry at him for deciding to go on a mission to destroy Sonic on his own, and arbitrarily ordering that the heroes would be sent to him alive, which is his downfall. But really, the whole story could have been summed up by just saying they were captured. Nothing else important happens. And the third story has Shortfuse and Techno plan to bomb a chemical plant, with absolutely no mention of trying to evacuate the premises, just for them to get threatened by Metamorphia. Maybe it's better that this happened then. And the second story, by Nigel Kitching, has Trog the Enchanter King return to normal after almost falling to his death thanks to Knuckles, so that's a relief. But I really don't see why he took so long to do so, other than to pad out the final story of the story arc by being a villain. And we don't get much closure here. We don't see Trog being hugged by his old friends and given a party to celebrate him being back to normal and friends again. And Moraine never officially figures out the truth she's so suspicious of or tells anyone, making her feel completely pointless since even her sword fighting just led to them all getting kidnapped anyways. This is totally unrealistic. In the end of the story, it's a text box saying that Knuckles will go it alone next time. And while Knuckles' story in the Nameless Zone will be good too, and it's nice since he won't be constantly wishing Sonic was there, the writers were right to assume Tails fans would be angry, I guess. They probably were already, because Knuckles just stole the spotlight from Tails and didn't let him do anything. He could have gone there alone. That text box feels so condescending and mocking, like, go ahead, complain. And lying that Knuckles was Sonic just makes it all the more ridiculous that nobody's figuring out the truth since he obviously couldn't be him. Realistically, everyone familiar with the tales of Tails' assistant should immediately know it's a lie, so why go with it? At one point, the people of the Nameless Zone should have created a portal to Tails when Tails was with Sonic eventually, and thus found out about all of his lies. What a coincidence it is that every time they create a portal to Tails, he's alone.